most of the higher education institutions of various states have been adopted this policy. We are also running the first batch of new education policy in undergraduate, and the sustainability already has been well defined in our inaugural speech, Dr. Desai, Professor Desai. But the most beautiful comment have been made by P.P. Chakraborty, Professor P.P. Chakraborty, that where the librarian's role and library's role, how a digital library will be interactive, human interactive digital library, where AI will work behind the scene. Not AI will control the digital library or libraries. So this way we have to think in new architecture, and while talking about architecture, NDLI, we know the founder of this project are right here, not only the founder or that architecture designer, but also a policymaker and implementation part, Professor Partha Pratim Das, Professor P.S. Mukhopadhyay, both are directly involved of this project, and the success, most of the success will goes to them, and obviously a bunch of teamwork, those who are just maintaining this process and make it available to many people of India. So with this small introduction, may I request Professor Partha Pratim Das, who is the former joint project director of investigation, principal investigator of this project, request you, sir, please carry on your lecture. And we are really, all we know, sir, he has made lot of speech regarding this topic. Many of our academic institution, academic fraternity, he is well known about this person, and no need to give further introduction to him.
Very good afternoon, everyone. I know so many people so closely in this audience that I apologize. I cannot mention each one of you. I mean, it's like meeting the old friends, and I would really like to thank Professor Kalyan Sinha Mohapatra and Dr. Sutrodhar for giving me the opportunity to come again and talk on the NDLI platform. PPC and I had a close association in this project, and we always had a very defined role. PPC is a visionary. He talks at a very high level. And then my role was to translate that into workable models. So I will follow the same thing today. PPC has given a keynote. He has said everything that I wanted to say. We didn't manage to communicate between us, but still my talk probably would make sense because it is kind of a more digestible form of what he wanted to say. So it's a ballad of a library is what I wanted to call it. Before I start, many of you may know this contributor of National Digital Library of India, Nandagopal Chattopadhyay. We lost him earlier this year. So I would first like to just remember him as we start this journey. With permission from the chair, I will take 20 minutes. 10 minutes I will spend on about the 10 years of the library so far. And the remaining 10 minutes I will try to talk on the next 10 years of what I perceive the library should go on with. So I have divided it into, I've been working on this for a while. Actually, Dr. Sutrodhar, when I was handing over last year to Dr. Sutrodhar, he mentioned that why don't you write a kind of a small book on the history of NDLI. So I've actually started writing that, and that's the title of the book. So these are glimpses of from what will be later in the expanded form. So it starts with the ideation phase, which PPC has already explained. It all started with a meeting of all IIT directors in Goa in sometime in 2014 with the minister, the then minister. And the focus of this phase for us was to visualize a national knowledge asset. we did not understand, and particularly for me and PPC and others, we had no idea of library science. I'm again thankful to Partho, thankful to Dr. Sutrodhar, who taught us what is library science. We had no idea. And we defined the vision and mission. I just explicitly wanted to put it up here to remind ourselves that we are working towards it. That is, to turn NDLI into a national knowledge asset. This library serves to function as a key driving force for education, research, innovation, and knowledge. So as we imbibe NEP 2020, as we talk about SDG 4, I think we still remain very relevant to what we had started with in the vision. So the ideation phase produced multiple outputs, the DPR, the PRSG body, presentation to ministries, and the outcome was that IIT Kharagpur was fortunately been chosen as the host institute to work with everyone else. What followed the next about a year was a maze of things that happened in terms of the what I call the infrastructure phase. So creating a whole lot of infrastructure, physical and otherwise, tangible, intangible was the key thing, and the base infrastructure. And it was very important to understand, I mean, if you think back, we are talking about 2015, so no one in India had done anything like this before, not even attempted. So a team of experts, Umadi, Partho, and Jagdish, worked together to create a baseline of, I mean, we are at zero, but where are others worldwide? So that was a starting point of creating the infrastructure. And we created all of these, the hardware infrastructure, virtual metadata standard, which one of the things I'm really proud of in this is to be able to define such a standard, flexible, open standard, and complete documentation, thanks to the expert team. We had a metadata curation architecture, which was very, very important. I mean, I'm just trying to identify the key things that NDLI project has been able to contribute to the nation and which needs to be, probably rethought and revamped in the years to come. Prototype portal, outreach through idea workshops, and the outcome was the community education and confidence. I still remember the first couple of meetings we had in Mohali, IISCR, where the main sense of the audience was that, well, you are giving a vision which is impossible. India cannot work together. Here, 5 institutions cannot work together. You are talking about 5,000 institutions working together. But slowly that confidence started coming thanks to several partners that we had. The next 2 years were actually working towards the launching phase, which saw the real implementation happening, prototype and user trials. The main challenge turned out to be the rate at which you can ingest. If you just compute that you are ingesting digital content, then a person, a library person, can do about, how many can he do in a day? How many contents can he ingest in a day? Maybe 20, maybe 30. At that rate, lakhs and crores cannot be scaled. So scaling was the main challenge. Building a national network of outreach was important. Continuous baselining with respect to what we had was critical things. But we worked through all this and got towards the national launch, where we had the portal and mobile app with Bangla and Hindi interfaces. We had a super scaled curation and ingestion process. I mean, there's a lot that has gone into this, and that gave about 100-fold productivity scaling compared to what you can do manually, which really I think is technologically is a good contribution. We had partnerships with ideas, digital libraries across the world, outreach through several workshops and so on, and finally we had the launch in 19th June 2018. Fast forward, what followed after that is certainly the growth phase, that you keep on growing the library and keep on consolidating the repository, diversify domains, because it said that we will have education in every area. Very frankly, we didn't touch every area. We touched primarily STEM, engineering, and science. That is what, as IIT Kharagpur, we are strong in. That was the starting point. But it's continued to strengthen national and international collaboration networks, creating communities through NDLI clubs, which proved to be in the later on years, a very effective mechanism to actually reach out to the end user. So the library is a central one. There are partners, all sides. Many of you are here who have been instrumental in partnering. And on the other side is a whole lot of lakhs and crores of end users. So how do you reach out to that? So NDLI Club was conceived as a core structure for that. And then you work on the review and refine loop. So we had a strong repository, 10 Indian languages, strong stream of research publications started happening with many of our colleagues. We integrated many of those in the production, and a lot of growth naturally started happening. And again, this is the exercise I could dig out last night, of which tried to reproduce what Partho's team had done in 2015-16. I recreated that into 2021 to see that how far we are progressing, and we had progressed quite a lot. The NDLI column really looked rich at that point of time. But soon followed what is in every innovation cycle there's called that there is a disruption point which really drives you to create something which you had not even thought of. And that happened by nature. That was the pandemic that happened. And I remember it was around 9th, 10th March at night, I received a call from Ministry of HRD at that time that we are soon going to close down all educational institutions. Can you provide all books to all learners? We said, oh my gosh, I mean, that's impossible. But do something. You have 2 weeks, do something. So get started. So direct support to learners in India turned out to be a new objective, and a major change that we did, which actually tilted the user orientation of the whole library, is moving from a pull to a push method. Earlier it was that we are doing excellent repositories for you, excellent metadata, quality stuff. You go and find out what you want. But now we changed mode. We said, no, you are a school student. You are appearing for class 10. This is what you should do. So we are creating collections, repositories, and moving to the push method. We created study at home, CBSE preparatory. We created special repository for COVID-19 research. I just showed, again, I dug it out from history, that this is a track of daily footfall during that time. It used to be around 20,000. And when we released study from home, it turned out to be about 2.25 lakhs. Then with COVID repository, it crossed 3 lakhs and all that. And we are very happy that with all that the team has been able to do, now we are sustained at a 3.5 to 4 lakh footfall per day, which is an amazing feat. A lot of the different outputs in terms of contents, in terms of clubs starting. The footfall remained sustainable. We got a couple of rewards in terms of recognition in resilience and so on. And this, we did a very excellent exercise in my view in terms of mapping the NEP 2020. NEP 2020 got released by the then Minister Ramesh Pokhriyalji around the third quarter of 2020. And we quickly tried to map what does NDL's role in NEP 2020 is. Again, I dug out this slide because I think it remains even more relevant today as we are actually in different institutions imbibing the whole NEP process, and the role of NDL in terms of that becomes even more significant. We certainly had a number of endorsements. Modi government in 2.0 said NDLI is playing a key role in the governance of the country and so on. Then there's a rehash phase where we really tried to give it a push, and Dr. Sutradhar and his team has done an excellent job in this, where the focus now was completely towards the end user. So we decided to get significantly into expanding NDLI club activities, strengthening school education, because that's where the majority of learners have been, widening the idea network and so on. And you can see these numbers. We have crossed 10 crores, which was a long time dream. At the beginning, we would have never thought that this is ever possible. Numbers in bracket are what was added in about 1.5 years, in the last 1.5 years. We have a sustained daily hit of 2.5 to 3 lakhs per day. We have over 4 crore social media reach on 5 different channels and so on, and 5,000 NDLI club, which you have been hearing since morning. Different growth charts, and these are some of the planned activities that will happen in the next few quarters. Before I end, I will talk about what I call the Renaissance phase, which I would perceive that should start sometime next year after the immediate tasks are done. Because there is a need to rethink digital libraries, because the demarcation between what is a library, what is a teaching pedagogy, what is learning, what is education are fast eroding. I mean, you cannot differentiate between them. The libraries are actually delivering education. The educational institutions are becoming repositories and all of that. So there's a major rethink required. We need to redefine the approaches, because some of the recent technologies have made things possible which even 6 months back or 9 months back were thought to take about 20 next years of research. All of that have eroded. The whole, major part of natural language processing research have completely crumbled with the innovation of ChatGPT. Those research are no more required because all those problems are already solved. So we need to think new solutions for old problems. We have to think new problems. And here is what I suggest are some of the areas in NDLI that we focus, that we need to really strengthen the knowledge graph and the named entity recognition area, metadata engineering, smart search, multimodal, multilinguality, domain vertical, and so on. I'll just quickly, one slide I'll just quickly say. So domain knowledge is, as you know, that you capture a knowledge graph which says what is the context in which you are working. So NDL, as of now, works on a knowledge graph which was created by Plavon and Partho and those, quite some time back, which is primarily on bibliographical knowledge representation. That's what stays in the library. But now what has become possible, that every domain is coming up with a knowledge graph, whether I'm talking about physics, whether I'm talking about astrophysics, whether I'm talking about molecular biology, I'm talking about history. Everywhere there's a knowledge graph. So any metadata that you annotate, any search that you do can be contextualized with respect to that, which really makes it. Why it didn't happen earlier? Because it was very, very difficult to build knowledge graphs. Because you needed to do things like named entity recognition, you needed to do ontologies and all that, which were very difficult. But now with GPT's technology, with the LLMs coming in, you can just do that in a click of the mouse. The other aspect, which is very significant, I would like to draw your attention to, is this started with a seminal paper in 2019, right before the pandemic, that people started talking about personalized knowledge graph. What does it mean is, a library is 2 components. One is the content, another is the consumer. So far we have been only modeling the content in terms of metadata. But if I'm the consumer, there's no model for me. There's no representation for PP Das. So people started talking about, can the personalized knowledge be modeled? And that's what is today called personalized knowledge graph, or PKG. There's a huge amount of research going on. We have also been working on certain areas as to what are the different ways you can capture the personal understanding of a person and have a knowledge graph. If you can have knowledge graph on both sides, the advantage is the matching can be done in a very efficient way. So it's not only that you are picking up contents from, say an area of physics, but you are picking up appropriate content based on for whom are you picking it up. That matching is possible. So there's a lot of research going on in this, and this is very critical for personalization. This is just an example of what GPT can do. I just did a random Google search. I clicked. It happened to be Meenakshi temple page I found. So I picked up these paragraphs and I done a ChatGPT, and this is what I got. I told, get me the entities in this paragraph. And you can say this is not a single word is edited. You can see clearly all entities with attributes are given. So you know that if we can automatically use this, then generation of metadata, ontology, knowledge graph becomes far, far more efficient than what we have been doing so far. So the technology is there, it needs an integration and proliferation. The second part of the Meenakshi temple. Naturally, that can lead to smart search because you don't need to go keyword based. You can do semantic search. You can search within a domain of discourse if you can have the knowledge graph for that. You are not searching blindly based on magnetism or say geography or some things like that. the whole process of metadata engineering, this is actually the flowchart that NDLI currently follows, and this is a applied patent in Indian Patent Office. It uses ML, but it uses primarily classical algorithms. But whole of that can be revolutionized by using subject classification, keyword extraction, summarization, all of that. And GPT in all of them is doing a phenomenally different job, different scale of jobs. And again, it's a different kind of integration to be done. So, and another area is multimodal and multilinguality. India is always challenged with multilinguality, so many languages. We still have some caveat of the fact that language model of many of the Indian languages are still not strong, but people are working, they will soon get stronger. And multimodality is an aspect which has become a reality, that you can now go easily from text to speech, speech to text, language to language, and so on. So it's not necessary that you'll have to type in your query on the library and get a prompt. You can actually speak to the library. I mean, kind of, PPC was saying that push AI at the back. I will push AI in the back, but in the front, I will have a humanized model who can speak out the answers to me. So, because otherwise things are not scalable. Actually, video to text and text to video is making fast progress. So with this, different domain verticals should be more and more in the focus of NDLI. Some of these NDLI already work on, and I would suggest that broad interest disciplines must be addressed in NDLI for better engagement, like culture and heritage, travel and tourism, food and hospitality. These have never been in the focus of the library. Sports and fitness, traditional medicine like Ayush, and so on. Personalization becomes a reality because you have personal knowledge graph. You can have personalized knowledge graph infrastructure, multilingual, multimodal interface. If you have that, you can have an interactive bot. There are several interactive bots, but you can have a smart ones on something like NDLI. And this is something interesting. You can have an educator at home, that a personalized educator. And if you think that this is like a science fiction story, please go to Khan Academy site and check out Khanmigo. Khanmigo is actually already available personalized tutor from Khan Academy, which works on the STEM areas. So you just need to tell the problem, and that bot keeps on advising you in terms of how you should progress with your studies. Last but not the least, we haven't probably done much for the disability support, which needs to be, it's a big agenda point in inclusivity of NEP as well. In terms of rethinking disability, we need to put a lot of disability knowledge, pedagogy, application, technology, and disability support. Sorry, Chairman sir, I've taken 3 minutes more. Thank you very much, and really thank you for giving me this opportunity and giving me the time here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You really not taken too much. As you said that you will take 20 minutes, you have just finished it within the time. Thank you very much. So, no library or no digital event will be successful if it is not able to searchable or it is not able to search. And how to search, you know, being a library professionals, we all know that technology running behind it is called metadata. And the success of NDL also have a strong metadata architecture which has been developed by, or maybe has been advised by Professor Parthasarathi Mukhopadhyay. He is well-known personality of our domain. So may I request Parthasarathi Mukhopadhyay to deliver his lecture, and kindly be on time, sir.
So now second speaker, now I request Professor Parthasarathi Mukhopadhyay to come on to the dais and kindly take your respective seats here. And I request Boisakhi Chakraborty to felicitate Professor Mukhopadhyay with a flower bouquet and memento and uttariya. And I request Bibhuti Bhushan Sahu to hand over a memento to Professor Mukhopadhyay. So hand over to Professor Sudeep. Okay.
Okay, so my good friend Sudeep already told that post-lunch session is always a very challenging one as it is very difficult to keep you people awake. And now the second channel, after a challenge, after a great orator like PPD, okay, so anyway, I will try my best. So here what I am trying to say that, how machine learning and data carpentry can help digital libraries. And I will pick up a particular research problem which may be applicable to all kind of libraries because libraries are basically the data provider for an institution. So it is sustainable insight. I'm trying to relate or directly hit the core of the theme, sustainable development, how digital libraries are attached with it. So sustainable insights, how Indian research publication can be mapped into 17 different SDG goals and 17 different SDG goals directly through data carpentry and machine learning. And 21st century is century of data, no doubt of it. And I am a firm believer that coming down the line within 5 to 6 years, our discipline is again going to change name from library and information science to library information and data science. One of the big component of library services will be data. Data is the new oil for the 21st century. And like the value of oil comes through extraction, the value of data also comes through enhancement and extraction. Libraries are no exception to this trend. Why I am saying so? Nowadays, many of these data sets you already know coming in a big way all over the world. All are ODVL, Open Data Common License. In the bibliographic domain, citation domain, open access domain, name to gender inference, a lot of open data sets are available with us and we can do miracle with this kind of data sets. So data analytics for digital library may be the next, as PPD sir says, the next Renaissance phase. Maybe one of these, NDL still lacks data analytics in its retrieval. And data analytics not only helping you the retrieval, but also to extend, to assess your collection, to enhance or enrich your user behavior and many such things. One example I'm going to give you, the retrieval point of view, as Sudeep said, retrieval comes first. Search is the bread and butter for a LIS professional. Here you see I'm using a ODBL based search engine, not Scopus, lens.org, around 250 million resources. I search by arsenic pollution, and what I would like to bring attention to your notice is the table tab, list tab, and the analysis tab. So it retrieved around 1592 results. I am not only going to get the results in the particular format, citation format or data format. The moment I click this analysis format, it can take all these 1500 plus records at once. It can analyze who are the top authors, what are the most prolific institutions, and how arsenic pollution research starts from 70s to till date, what is the peak year, and everything in a momentary basis. So this is the power when retrieval meets analytics, data analytics. And Lens is basically, it's a search engine. They have 240 million knowledge graph they can build. But you see here again what a university is doing. This is the dashboard of research publication from the University of Washington, and they are using another ODBL-based data source called OpenAlex. And the moment you go to that particular research board, you see here how enriched it is. There are 3 tabs. You can go by the productivity of a particular faculty, particular school, different schools you can select, global cooperation, how research is proliferating, everything in one window. Not only it is giving data, in the textual format, dry text, but also in the data analytical format. And the base is completely free. We call it freemium. You just need to extract that data set, you need to use a dashboard kind of thing. So data is becoming a most important thing for the next few years, I think, because it is very difficult to predict technology nowadays. So why OpenAlex they are using? Because many of you are LIS professionals subscribing a lot of databases. You see here a comparative statement. OpenAlex cover around 243 million resources, whereas Scopus only 87 million resources. It's completely free, provide public-based API, and Scopus is closed and in profit. So Google Scholar is the highest, but nobody knows how Google works. They do not provide any kind of API to anybody to experiment with. So OpenAlex could be the choice of libraries in India, because 243 million is not a matter of joke. So on this particular backdrop, I'm now coming to the research problems we are discussing. That is United Nations 17 SDG or Sustainable Development Goal. All of you know, and some people know better than me. But what I'd like to share with all of you, this beautiful statement made by a researcher, I forgot his name. It's a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet. Never heard a more informative sentence than this in my life. A blueprint for the entire world. So in this particular situation, International Monetary Fund, IMF, grouped again these 17 goals again in a beautiful manner that is called 5 principles. People, goal 1 to 6, prosperity, economic development is the focus, 7 to 10, planet, peace and partnership. So this is called 5P principles of 17 SDGs, further grouping. So in this particular backdrop, what libraries are doing, we can feel proud that the United Nations headquarter library, Dag Hammarskjöld Library, Dag Hammarskjöld was the Secretary General of United Nations from 1953 to 1961, before he died in a plane crash. So in the loving memory of Dag, they created this United Nations headquarter library. They created an SDG ontology, the entire taxonomy. Goal 1, what are the targets under the goal, and what are the indicators under a given target. A complete ontology is available, and it is helping the machine learning process very, in a very productive way. So here, in this particular backdrop, the question comes, suppose for a given institution or a given group of institution, is it possible to map all the research publication automatically into different SDG goals? That is the question, research questions I asked. And here you see different RQ. Is it possible for a single institution or a group of institution or the entire country? Why not? Then RQ2, what SDG classifier we are going to use so that it can perform the job automatically? And RQ3 is the AI/ML based SDG classifier. Is it available in the public domain? If yes, because machine learning is a costly business. Every library cannot do it. Suppose in future, maybe this one, NDLI may create an AI/ML framework and other library can use it. And the fourth question is that how data carpentry can help us. So methods and tool what I applied, as PPT has said, large language model. United Nations has a beautiful agency called DESA, Development of Economic and Social Affairs. They are trying to apply the SDG classifier for all kind of DESA publication right from 2018, before pandemic. They got some success, and the series of the report, the latest in the series actually came here in the 1st November 2023, very recent one. So on the basis of all these reports, I gathered a few SDG classifier from all over the world. compared those SDG classifiers, and finally selected Aurora Alliance. What is Aurora Alliance? We need to understand. Aurora Alliance is a pan-European research and intensive university network. They already created a machine learning framework on the basis of a model called MBERT. BERT is a product of Google, and MBERT stands for multilingual BERT. So why should we people actually waste money? If that machine learning framework is already available, I don't need to retrain them. As Tanvir first up said, that technology costs money. So in India, first we need to focus on that. The same productivity we can we gain without paying money, particularly in the initial stages. So we attempted Aurora Alliance as a machine learning backend, so that I don't need to apply that at the local level. And that particular model they call SDG BART, a specialized BART model created as an SDG classifier. The beauty of this particular thing is that entirely open, source code level, training data set level, step level, documentation level, everything is available in the GitHub. You can download, and the entire model is trained with a huge 1.4 million records. Not, I'm not talking about in terms of thousands or lakhs, it's millions. And the special reason why we have selected it, because this one, it has got public API and supports both, not GET, only post mode of application, but that does not matter actually. So what does it mean for us that publicly it is available and we can use it? Now you see, here we have created a data sets of all 17 top IITs. I'm saying top IITs means all IITs listed in the NIRF 2023 ranking system in the overall category. So I took from there 17 IITs and collected all of their publications. So this is one of the publication, title and abstract. This kind of model is called short text corpus. Then I actually used their public API, wrote a Python script by using a software called OpenDefine. So it actually gave me response in JSON format. And you can see for this particular corpus, title plus abstract, it gave me a score and different SDG with the metadata from that UN headquarter library. And I extracted that JSON data. You can see all elements are divided by double hyphen, and all goals are actually separated with double hash. Later on, we can show that we can process it. So this is the beauty. I don't have to implement a hugely costly machine learning framework at my library. I can throw, and I can wait, I can have the JSON data, I can extract data. And what is the data set we are using? Again, I am showing, telling you it's not around thousands or lakhs. We are actually moving in lakhs. So all 17 IITs, I have collected data from OpenLX, as I already said. So this is the highest productive IIT Delhi. At least one paper having at least one SDG, associated with at least one SDG, and one author must be any of the 17 IITs. And we have taken 2016 to till date, 2023, because the global leaders adapted SDG on 1st January 2016. So then onwards, I have taken this. And this is the list of records from different IITs you can see. And we have total 2,15,000 records during this period of time. Finally, I settled with 2,09,000 records because these are the records having DOI. DOI need in the later stage for data enhancement. And these 2.1 lakhs records for coming from all 17 IITs I have thrown by using that public money. It took 75 hours to gather SDG goals from each of these records. And what's the result? Result is slightly surprising for me, but finally you are the judge that whether it is surprising or not. If I go for a single institution, say IIT Kharagpur, the host institution, they have published during this period 25,490 publications having associated with at least one SDG. It is not mandatory that every research paper is associated with SDG. Let's say, for example, a paper from pure literature, pure social science. So if that machine classification does it, then you see these are the top SDG, responsible consumption, industry, affordable and clean energy, and finally, all the group 1, person related, this zero hunger, then no poverty, these are coming in the bottom, these are bottom dweller. And up position what is going, that is we are trying to make life more comfortable who are already in their comfort zone. So that is one particular point. Second is that if we merge the record from all 17 IITs, what happens? It is not changing the situation much. IIT Kharagpur actually set the tone for the entire IIT system. Still affordable and clean energy goes fast. But one interesting point is that partnership is coming in a big way from the bottom position to the up position. Now, we have extended this data to the entire country. And how much of data we are talking about? 209,000 for all 17 IITs. Now we are talking about 70,76,000 publications from the entire country during that period. And here you see the result is slightly different. And why different, I will tell you. Good health and well-being, group 1, related to person, partnership, life in land, clean water, zero hunger, all are coming up. But still, the other important material research focus like gender equality, quality education, we are talking about quality education, our research focus is not education. And no poverty. No poverty always the bottom dweller. I don't know why. Okay. So if we go by the institution-wise, productivity analysis, CSIR is coming in the top. No wonder, because CSIR is not a CSIR lab-wise, they do not publish. Say, for example, my friend from IICB earlier, so they always write CSIR IICB. But IIT systems are very individualistic. They do not write IIT system, IIT KGP. So CSIR, it comes next. And you see all AIMSs are actually publishing in harmony. So that's why good health come first. And all our VIT, I don't know, VIT is coming in a big way. MET and VIT at the private level. So a lot of surprising result I'm saying. So again, coming back to IITs, 17 IITs. Professor P.P. Das can remember Dr. V from Microsoft. She talked about this Microsoft academic graph. So Microsoft academic graph is now a discontinued project. OpenAlex took that project from Microsoft and continuing and enhancing it. So I finally tried to connect all these 209,000 publication with different MAG concept. Amazingly, these were concerned with the almost 37 lakhs of concept, but unique concept is 39,000. And most of this concept you see, if we go by the volume wise, computer science come first, followed by physics. Even in no poverty paper, IIT systems are producing or applying computer science and machine learning. So you can understand a lot of funny facts in research focus. So now if we come to the top 10 MAG concepts of all these 2 lakh publication, chemistry, material science, computer science, physics again comes first. Yeah, another one. Finally, all these 17 IITs, I created one sunflower graph, it is called. So goal-wise, which are the most important, MEG graph. So this is the total. I have created something, you can click and you can see an individual goal, but that's a different issue. So anyway, conclusion is that these are very interesting topic and you can do almost as a hobby, data carpentry as a hobby. And you just imagine your library interface, not only NDLI, all individual library interfaces are not only attached with a plain dry text retrieval, but also analytics alongside. And analytics is almost available free of cost. And nothing, no kind of programming and other knowledge is required. I am not a programmer. So I can do it, you people can also do it. So thank you very much.
So we have listened a very interesting ideas, Actually, a few days back, I had an occasion to meet at ISI Kolkata. There we talked about one thing, that they are afraid, that library people are afraid that people are not coming into the library. All domain has been captured by the computer science people. So what should I do? So for my personal belief, that we have a one strong point, that Parthoda just rightly said, we are handling something which the computer science people don't have. What is that? That what my feeling is, that is the data. That means data management and data curation probably is one of the backbone to set up lot of softwares or designing lot of machine learning, all these things. So that means what I said, that behind the scene there should be something data, and that data curation, data management is one of the important aspect probably for us, and that is the strength of our domain. So I don't have much data about my next speaker, Dr. Soni Wadawa. He is from SRM University. May I request to come over the stage?
Yes, now it's pleasure to invite Dr. Soni Wadia. Please come on to the dais and sit your, respective place. I request Baisakhi to felicitate Ms. Soni Wadia from Islam University with flower bouquet and Uttario as well as memento. I request Dr. Navi Hassan sir to present a memento to Dr. Soni Wadia. Sir, please, memento. Yes. Now, I request Dr. Soni, madam, to continue. Time is only 10 minutes. It would be better if you take less than 10 minutes, ma'am.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that, which is why I have timed everything, and please feel free to stop me if I'm exceeding that, okay? Yeah. Okay. We have been talking a lot about technology in terms of, data, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of, technique or computer science as we understand it. I'm here to talk about technology in terms of probably the very first technology humankind ever invented, which is language. So I'm approaching this question from the point of view of languages. In these discussions and conversations about technology, are we forgetting that these kinds of contexts of how do we communicate knowledge to others requires an understanding of language, right? So I thank Professor K.P. Sinha Mahapatra and the organizers for this invitation and their hospitality. I take this opportunity to respond to what Professor Sinha Mahapatra pointed out in the morning as an occasion of brainstorming about best practices in maintaining digital libraries. How do we make them simple and easy to use? I hope that my inputs as an archivist working on post-partition Sindhi writing in India is seen as relevant in this context. You see that when we talk about libraries, we also ought to talk about what happens to the libraries, languages, and literary traditions when things like the partition happen. Partition was not just about the partition of territories, it is also about the partition of languages and literary traditions. Sindhi is an example of that, and I hope my discussion becomes a context for roping in other languages that are surviving in such precarious conditions. With that, let me begin. So I'm here, of course, speaking, my institution affiliation would be one thing, but I'm here as an archivist. Yeah. So in popular culture, the closest library and regulatory structures come together is, humor or comedy. In Christopher Nolan's The Batman trilogy, Batman fights crime so well that the detectives are left with nothing to do except chase overdue books. Similarly, in Seinfeld, one entire episode is dependent on the comedy generated by an official chasing a book that is so long overdue. It's absurd, Librarians, I mean, when you have nothing else to do, you go and chase what is happening to the books. When everything else is, taken care of, that's when we remember libraries. I can go on and on, but the point is that the libraries tend to be, one of those mild, harmless entities that no one much bothers about or does not take active interest in. One figures that the situation might be even bleaker in India. So let me share 3 situations or personal experiences that convey some observations about how libraries work and what the philosophies of running libraries are. The first example relates to my college days in Ulhasnagar, which is a small town near Mumbai. The college had very genius ways of, guess what, denying access to books to the students because, the volume was crazy. The second instance comes from my work at the research organization Maritime History Society run by the Western Naval Command of Indian Navy. It had a library and a great collection of archival material and documents. That was a place where other institutions such as the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Museum came to borrow a lot of things. And we happily gave everything to them, INS, INS this, INS that, souvenirs from this INS and souvenirs from that INS. The director of the society used to say, yes, we do have a library and an archive, but we are only the custodians. We are not the owners. The items are not for us to own. The third example is much more focused towards my theme of minor languages. It is my digital library called Parmanand Ghanshyam Das Sindhi Library, which was a private collection that I endeavored to digitize and make available in the public domain. Actually, this library had to come into being because my original idea for the archive of Sindhi readers' views on post-partition Sindhi literature in India did not work out very well. I was being very over-ambitious. I thought I am going to interview readers who have been reading post-partition Sindhi literature and, look at what sort of memory they have, because today we do not have a lot of that Sindhi literature. And I had trouble spotting readers because there were no spaces such as bookstores and libraries that housed books for readers to help them come together as communities. It was a conscious decision to turn a private collection into a digital library for a minor language. So, it's online if you would want to, explore more. So, that has kept me thinking about what sort of policies could be put in place for more such libraries to come into being. Do minor languages deserve to be at the bottom rung of priorities in the context of digital libraries? Or with the equalizer that digital technology can be, is there a way to use it to accelerate the growth of minor languages in the space of digital libraries, even if they are existing as subsets of larger collections of other disciplines and languages? Everything that we have been talking about has been about English, has been about, other disciplines also, but should it continue to be that way? Yeah? So I will not go much into these because I do not have that much of time, but these are my few entry points that, I was looking for in order to understand, okay, what can I read about the existing frameworks that we have, which tell us something about, how to sneak in languages, how to sneak in Indian languages, how to sneak in minor languages, okay? So NEP, National Education Technology Forum, Raja Ram Mohan Roy Library Foundation. There are, departments of state, public libraries in various states, but they don't have funding to, buy enough resources for them. Then there is National Mission on Libraries, which initiated a qualitative and quantitative survey of libraries. Then there is National Educational Alliance for Technology. And then there is Diksha, there is Anuvadini, there is Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, there is Mukti Bodh, yeah? So my point is that even when there is an information drought in various languages, there is information flood in others. NDLI website, to give you some perspective, has 97 million resources, out of which 86 million are in English, 198,000 are in Hindi, and 336 in Sindhi. So I was very inspired. I was there at the Festival of Libraries, which was inaugurated by the President of India in August this year, and she was talking about an inclusivity, and I've been wondering if that inclusivity applies not just to people in general, but to languages as well. So given all these initiatives and guidelines, what can we point to for arriving at an understanding of what can be done to invigorate the presence of minor languages on the scene of Indian digital libraries? As an archivist, These are the possibilities that I can suggest. Technical training, I mean, we spoke so much about the technical training, when the previous speaker discussed so many other points, but I was thinking, we are still counting a lot of institutional repositories that use these minimum benchmarks such as DSpace or Greenstone and things like that, which, follow some sort of library management system and all of that. The libraries that I am talking about are, nowhere close to that. So we need a lot of expertise and technological, innovation and capacity building so that people can understand, the librarians of these communities can understand what needs to be done, that these things exist. Then there is something called, legislation. The US, in my research about what sort of counterparts exist, there is something called US, Library Service Technology Act that is actually very nicely plundered by cultural memory organizations by different, by different organizations in the US. And India needs such a legislation which can be liberally applied to the improvement of memory of minor languages in the country. Third is, if there are, if there is a system in place for the deposit of, newly published books, do we have such a system for newly published e-books? And are we including, regional languages and minor languages within that? Yeah. The other model is, and I will specifically refer to Sindhi here, libraries as publishers. In minor languages such as Sindhi, the publishers and authors themselves are no more. Since a case is already made for libraries to double up as publishers, it is a case to be made even more strongly for minor languages. With the right investment in OCR and transliteration tools, libraries can not only provide materials and resources to communities, but also create them by making them available in different scripts and formats. Hence, this role as publishers. Sindhis are making a case for use of 2 to 3 scripts. So after coming to India, they said we should be looking at, Devanagari script rather than Perso-Arabic script. Then there is Sindhi diaspora all over the world which says we can't even understand Devanagari, so we want the Roman or the Latin script for Sindhi. Okay. Konkani has 6 scripts. Okay. The task of the libraries thus increases. It is not enough to keep books in libraries anymore, but to keep books that are accessible in various scripts. We can also leverage peer-to-peer sharing, WhatsApp groups that are actually sharing a lot of material among themselves. If there are ways in which, institutions such as NDLI can get into these networks, then, it's an excellent thing. The next, yeah. We could also, leverage a lot of digital humanities, projects. One of my other projects is that of Sindhi Sanchaya. It is, funded by IIT Indore. The point is, in all of this, where are the chances that Sindhi Sanchaya or the PG Sindhi library that I started out with get discovered in this ecosystem? So having metadata is one thing, and being a part of a larger network is another, right? So there are, I wish we could continue this conversation, and I hope we will, see some other ways in which these kinds of efforts, come into existence. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, for your excellent presentation. Now, may I request Dr. Samrat Guharai, Assistant Librarian, Central Library, to continue his presentation. Before that, I would like to request Dipanita to felicitate Dr. Samrat Guharai. Please come. With a flower bouquet, memento, and Utteriyo. Memento I will be handing over. Dr. Gohara, please continue. Your time is less than 10 minutes. Hello. Hello.
Thank you, sir, for giving me an opportunity. So after the very good discussion and presentation by Professor P.P. Das sir and PSM sir and Soni madam, so I have focused with a small word, that is AR, and we found a lot of papers in this symposium where many persons have written about augmented reality. So I try to use the technology because I am as working in the library. So my focus was how I will be using this technology for a service. So building a prototype, implementing it, and using it for a service, and might be gradually many persons will be coming up with similar other ideas, and we can implement the technology for our services. So that was the intention. So with this intention, I will quickly move to my topic, immersive current awareness services using web-based augmented reality, a prototype model. And I also want to inform you, we are having one stall outside, Central Library stall, where there are VR gadget is there, it is configured. If you have not experienced, you can see that, as well as AR, how we are using it, small working model, you can test it, and then later on again, we can collaborate and we can think for new ideas. Today's objectives: cache service in libraries, emerging new technologies about augmented reality, evaluation of platforms used for AR development, a prototype model, how it is working, survey of user experience, a small survey is being conducted to find out what are the challenges, and my conclusion. I have taken a word from Britannica, current awareness service. We all know we want to intimate the user about the new acquisition, new things which is available in the library. So we do it with putting some information in the notice board, we give out printouts, so we can send information to the mail, as with the mail serving. So these things we do it. So I have listed some like newspaper clipping and reference and of the abstracts and all. So this is the traditional things what we are using. So along with that, so innovative technologies which are now, these things are coming up, and we will be using in near future all these technologies in libraries. So small like AI, AR, VR, Internet of Things, visualization, 3D. So these new technologies are coming up, and I will just give a brief, like AI, sir has already discussed that AI, I can give a data to my ChatGPT, and it can segregate the information into metadata information. Similarly, there is AR, I will be discussing it. Virtual reality, it is very much important for the medical students for viewing the thing. Suppose I cannot see a volcano. So I can see it as if I am seeing it from very near. Similarly, IoT, so I can enter the library. Technologies are coming up, and we can use it in our library. Now, augmented reality. So we are all using the mobile phone. We have used QR code for payments. So we are well acquainted with the technology of QR code. It's a similar technology like that only. I will focus my mobile phone camera into a AR marker if I am using marker-based augmented reality. And if I am using other sensors like GPS and all, then I will be using that technology. But on my real screen, the augmented information will be shown to me. Like for example, if I am there in a location and if I put my mobile phone, it will show me what are the exit doors. My mobile phone camera will capture this hall and will process it, and it will show me the exit door is this way. So this information is the augmented information. So these things are very much useful for the library also, because if I focus in library, it can show me where I will be getting the physics books or where I will be getting so that information it can process. But yes, of course, you have to map and stitch all those things.
So before working with my application, I have just taken few of the used softwares which is available over the net. So there is Wikitude, Gamma, Bleeper, and Aruzma. It is now changed to HP Reveal and Layer. These are the platforms actually. I have used A-Frame. It's a JavaScript library. It is open source. So I was just testing. So I was not interested to go for any paid services. I have taken a JavaScript library and written a small code for building up the model. How it is working? So I am having, as I have discussed, that I will be having a AR marker. We mention it as point of interest. So inside the library, I can keep similar point of interest. So whenever the camera is focused on the point of interest, it fetches, the query handler fetches the information from server and shows me, yes, this is the way you can go outside. So that is the exit, or there is a fire information. So such type of information you can tag it. So the user focuses it to the AR marker, and then query handler fetches the information and shows me the information. In my case, I have just made the AR marker, and when you focus there, it shows me what are the library law databases I have subscribed presently, or what are the medical databases or journals new arrivals. So such information I can display on the screen. So this is it's present in the website also. So this is these are the different markers I am having. So users can use it. I have just kept one photo for the same. A flow chart, as I have discussed, user will be focusing it. Camera is the main thing. So whenever you are using it, it will ask for your permission to use the camera, and then it will retrieve the information. So if you want to scan another AR, the process is again go back to the same. Just considered a small experience for the user. So users are satisfied with the service, but of course you need to hold. So I have found that some users mentioned it to be discomfort. So that information I have collected, and I found that holding a mobile phone like this for more than 1 minute will be difficult. So in near future, we may get AR glasses and all, so that will work better. So because that will be having the camera itself. So in one word, for making the conclusion, these are the new technologies. We can use it and implement it for our library for different services. As I have taken a cache service, you can implement for other information retrieval or information delivery services for your libraries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samrat. And now there is an online presentation. Mr. Christos Barbantakish, Partner Manager at Wikimedia, Germany. So we are like, please connect with our link.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Is
Can
it
you hear me?
audible?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. And Can
Hello,
you also
is
see
it
my
audible?
screen?
Mr. Christosh?
Hello?
Yes, so welcome to India, and
Thank you.
we are eagerly through online mode. So we are eagerly waiting to listen with a limited time, that is for within 7 to 8 minutes. So I think it would be a good conversation with you, and we'll be expecting only the brief information about you regarding this. Please share your ideas at the earliest.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation. I would love to have been there in person, but yeah, that was not that easy to organize. However, I'm happy to be here in what looks to be like a really interesting and a really cutting-edge conference. And I'm here to share a couple of things with you then about how to link library connections through a Wikibase, the free and open Wikibase software. Before anything, let me just say that I'm Christos Varvandakis. I work as Partnerships Manager at Wikimedia Deutschland, Wikimedia Germany. I am an anthropologist. I have a PhD in social anthropology, and I love working with organizations, with global organizations, especially around issues of opening data and opening collections. I work for Wikimedia Deutschland, as I mentioned, Wikimedia Germany, which is the German chapter of the global Wikimedia movement. What is a bit peculiar, a bit different about Wikimedia Germany is that it has a dedicated software department. What we are doing within the context of what we call our linked open data vision is that we're developing and maintain the Wikibase software and the Wikidata, the big database of linked open data. As I said, however, I mentioned linked open data, and it would be probably a good idea to say a couple of things about linked open data before moving any further. Essentially, linked open data is open data that are also linked. Open data are data that are available for everyone to use, for any use ideally. And linked data are structured data which are interlinked with other data in order to become more useful through semantic queries, to be findable and to be connectable. If we think a little bit about, this is from Tim Berners-Lee, this model of the 5 stars open data model. The 1 star would be something that is openly shared in the internet, let's say, as, for example, a PDF of some information, some knowledge, some data. The 2 stars would be, for example, instead of sharing a scan of a table, if you would share a spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet, let's say, of that table. So it can be data that we can manipulate, we can take. And then the 5 star at the very top of the ladder, so to say, would be data that are both open, that are structured, and that are linked with other data in other databases other than our own. As I said, Wikidata and Wikibase are in the heart of our linked open data vision, and to make that a little bit more tangible, I'll say a couple of things about Wikidata. Wikidata is a project that started in 2012. It is free. It is a free and open knowledge base, the biggest one, the largest one of its kind in the world right now, with more than 100 million items. It has structured data. All data are available under a CC0 license, so essentially they're copyright free and everyone can use them. Everyone can edit them as well. It's multilingual, collaboratively, and it is made for both humans and machines. Data are modeled within Wikidata with what we call the triple structure, where we have items, properties, and values. We have items, as for example one for Maya Angelou here. Each of the items, the 100 million plus items I was telling you before, has a unique item identifier, the Q identifier as we call it. And then for each of the items we have statements that consist of a property and a value for that property. But what makes this model of organizing data like that unique is the fact that data are interconnected and interlinked. So we have not a traditional database, we have what we call a knowledge base that stores not only items, but also properties and also relations between items. And for example, if we take a look here, we would see that for Maya Angelou, the place of birth, the property place of birth. Oh, that's really nice. Hi, everyone. It's really nice seeing to whom I'm talking to all this time. Thank you for changing the perspective. So, what I was saying is that we have in this occasion Mike Angelu, who was born in St. Louis, for example. The thing here is that St. Louis is an item in itself in this database, which also, in its own page of an item, it also has its own properties and its own, qualifiers, values, and so on and so forth. And of course, we can query Wikidata with the powerful Sparkle language, which can give us, for example, a timelines of coup d'etat during the 21st century, or such nice graphs of, number of musicians in Wikidata by country. Now, Wikibase is essentially the software that lies in the heart of Wikidata. Wikidata is built upon the software of Wikibase. When we first developed Wikibase, we basically did it in order to create Wikidata. But the thing is that it's a software which is open source, of course, like everything we do. So some organizations and some individuals have started taking the code of Wikibase to create their own local databases. And after a while, after a point, we decided that it's a software that is worth developing in its own right, developing and maintaining in its own right. And this is exactly what we did. So Wikibase, as it stands today, is free software that stores and organizes information that can be collaboratively edited and read by humans and by computers. It can be translated into multiple languages and shared with the rest of the world as part of the linked open data. And this is the magic of it. That if you make a Wikibase, if you make what we call a Wikibase instance with, let's say, the metadata of a collection of yours, then you are able to essentially link this data, this structured data that you have in your local database, with data that exists out there, either in other Wikibases, other library Wikibases, let's say, in this case, or even with Wikidata itself. And thus you are able to actually connect your things. And thus you are able to, on the one hand, not not invent the wheel. So if there are data that are reliable and they are out there, you can just take things, you can just connect things to your own database. But on the other hand, you also enrich the knowledge graph, enrich the other databases that are out there. And this is particularly important in order not only to make knowledge open for everyone, but is also important in terms of diversifying the kind of knowledge that is out there. Because we are referring to structured data and we are referring to knowledge graphs. And we know that when somebody, for example, is looking for something in the internet, the first places that a search engine like Google, for example, would be in places that have this sort of structured information that can get back to us. So that's important to keep in mind. In any case, yes, Wikibase is, with Wikibase people can create and manage their own linked open knowledge bases. It is flexible, so it allows for anyone who wants to use, a flexible data model of how they will input their data in their database, or the knowledge base, better said. It has a MediaWiki interface, which allows easy access and update. And like Wikidata, it can be queried through the Sparkle language. So it's ideal for structured data collections that want a flexible data model, for linking databases to external sources, for collaborative projects, for data that should be both machine and human readable, and projects that involve multilingual labor. which again is a very important point. And this is a graph that illustrates what I was telling you before about how data and how essentially data can be connected in order to create knowledge. Wikibase comes right now as it is. It comes in two versions. There is the suite version, which is the one you download and you install and run on your own servers. And there is the Wikibase Cloud since a year and a half now, I think, which is a much lighter version that we host in in Germany, in Europe, essentially, which means that it is GDPR compliant as well. Whereas the first one, the software suite version, great high level of customization. The Wikibase Cloud is a bit more generic, but therefore it's also much, much easier to use, of course. In any case, both of course are free and open source software. If we take a look, I think I have 1-2 minutes more. If we would take a look at who is actually using Wikibase, we'll find out that most of our users, let's say, like the largest amount of our users, are from the GLAM world, so to say, galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. And if we take a closer look, we will realize that basically almost the 42% of people who are using Wikibase are libraries. These data are a little bit difficult because we never really know everyone who's using it, because as I said, it's a free software, right? So, but it's good, to have in mind like this. It is being used by libraries in order to be evaluated and in order, to help them store and manage structured data and to connect in the world of the linked open data. And here are a few of the libraries who have been using or have been trying out Wikibase. What one could do, in a library context, is that you can create a catalog of library holdings, manage library data, or publish data as linked open data. And in particular, if we think about, digital libraries, then we can see and we can think how it could enhance the resource discovery and accessibility, improve data consistency, facilitate collaboration, knowledge sharing, promote long-term preservation, and support community engagement and feedback. So it's a way to engage people to go into more participatory and more open ways of organizing collections. But also, if you think, for example, about metadata that a digital library might have in a form that is closed and in a form that is not searchable and readable by other databases, then this is something that Wikibase could do. Wikibase could help you connect your metadata. If a library will take the metadata and build them into a database made in Wikibase, so to say, then you would have this possibility, of opening up and of connecting different libraries. All right, I think I wouldn't like to take any more of your time. It seems that we are running out of time, but I will be very, very happy to share this presentation with you if you want it. As a matter of fact, I have created a QR code, as the previous speaker said, so you could
Yes,
also just scan this QR code and get to that presentation. But I'd be very, very happy to share it with you afterwards too, if anyone would like. So please just get in touch. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
thank you very much, Mr. Christos. We are really impressed by your presentation and hope all our participants are benefited. And we really thank you for sparing time. And with this permission of our chair, we have 2 more presentations here. If you are able to participate, I request our chair to come here. And presentation. So if in this session, actually time is up, but I request for your kind patience for 10 minutes to spare, And in this session, there are two product presentation. One is by John Wiley and second will be Taylor and Francis. I request John Wiley to come here and within 5 minutes, quick case your products or whatever you wanted to say. I request chat. Please come.
Thank you for your patience. My name is Rahul Dasgupta, and I'm a part of the Wiley Global research and publishing team. And when I heard for the first time that Dr. Sutradhar is arranging this kind of a symposium, I was very interested to come here because it's going to be a learning experience for me as well. And I wanted to share that right now we are standing in a very crucial time of transition. So far, institutes have been subscribing to certain number of journals, and users used to access those journals, and the users used to publish those journals in different publishers. And we have been since morning talking about democratizing research. So I'm going to take the next 2.5 minutes to tell you what role Wiley as a publisher is playing to democratize research. So basically there are two sides of it. One is the read, where I as a researcher would read the journals and articles, and number two is I publish. So for reading I have to pay because I have to subscribe to the journal, and for publishing again I have to pay because I have to pay the APC to publish. So there are two difficulties that each researcher, each library, each institute faces. So what Wiley right now we are discussing about open research, and this particular topic has gained momentum recently, but Wiley has been in the back end silently working on this thing since 2011. So in 2011, Wiley launched his first full gold open access journal, which is a journal which is free to read for anybody. The first research and publish deal was signed in 2015 in Netherlands and Austria, and in 2019 that remarkably global deal which was signed, which we all know about, is Project Deal in Germany, and subsequently Norway, Hungary, Sweden. By that time we were very clear as Wiley that we want to move significantly towards open research and open publishing. So in 2020 we collaborated with IET. So IET had around 42 journals which were a part of IEL, IEEE Electronic Library. So all those 42 journals have been flipped into open access in that year in collaboration with Wiley. Next year in 2021, we had rains and floods of read and publish agreements in Italy, Ireland, Spain, Switzerland, Australia, and many in the US. And in the same year, Wiley acquired the second largest fully gold open access publisher, Hindawi. So all the 230 journals of Hindawi are a part of Wiley, and all are open access. And in 2022, last year, we signed the first read and publish agreement with one of the institutes in India, Manipal University, Manipal Institute, where all the researchers in Mahe will get to access all the journals in Wiley, whether it's an open access journal or a subscription journal, and they will also be able to publish without paying APC the number of articles that they want to publish in any journal in Wiley. That's the read and publish agreement. So right now we are talking with almost all the institutes in India and the SAARC countries about the read and publish agreement, which is gaining really good momentum these days. And I believe that the government policies are also supporting. We are talking about ONOS these days. So I believe that these four pillars, the researchers, the libraries, and the publishers, and the policy, the decision makers, all these four pillars, all of these entities are moving towards the same direction, facilitating open research, facilitating open access, and doing good for the overall research community. And Wiley, as a part of that, is fully committed towards the aim, towards achieving that aim. So thank you.
So I request Dipanita to give memento to John Wally, Rahul. Please come. I request Professor Hatua sir to hand over memento to Rahul, Mr. Rahul. Now I request Telefrancis representative to speak here for only 3 minutes.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation and the audience. My name is Rajesh Shetty and I'm responsible for promoting open research at Taylor & Francis. Of course, I prepared a presentation for about 10 minutes. This is what I was communicated previously. In the interest of time, I'll quickly jump to what Taylor & Francis is doing to promote open research. Here is the data of the researchers survey that TNF did of Indian researchers. What they think about open access and the open research and the things associated with open research, that is APC, the article processing charges. About 90% of the authors in India feel that open access is good. They are willing to showcase their research through the open access format. What stops them from going open access is the ability to pay the APC charges. Which as Indians, we don't have a significant amount of funding that are available. So, a lot of authors do not go for open access. However, they still have an interest. When we heard, interest from the researchers, for the South Asian authors or the institutions, they could establish a support system where we launched Open Access Pro, which is Open Access Program, which is a support membership from the institution. It's a subscription-based product where an institution can subscribe by paying $17,500 as a subscription fee. And when an institution becomes a OA Pro member, they get 20 APC credits, which effectively means about 20 OA articles could be published in our full OA journal, which is about 300 odd journals across various disciplines. To track the progress of your OA activity and to approve the valid articles APC, there is a dashboard that will be provided, and some workshops for the early career researchers to guide them through the publishing journey is part of this OA Pro membership. We have received a fair amount of success with the membership. The IIT Kharagpur is one of the early subscribers of this membership, and ever since the membership was subscribed, we are seeing significant increase in the number of open access articles coming in. There are about 5-6 articles that have been approved where the authors did not have to bear the burden of APC. It was covered by the institution. Likewise, we have such partnership with other universities like VIT, University of Burdwan, and we are receiving a fair amount of positive feedback from the institutions, and should you wish to have a conversation with us about this membership, I'm very much available today and tomorrow. We can have this conversation. Lastly, going with the theme of this conference, TNF also publishes a curated a database, which is a collection of our ebooks and published articles relating to SDG. I have my colleague Prasenjit here. He is responsible for promoting our SDG collection. You could reach out to us to know more about it. Thank you very much for your time and patience, and we are around. Thank you.
So I request Professor Hathua to hand over a memento to Taylor Francis. Please. So I request chair, co-chair, and also rapporteur, please to come onto the dais for just a minute. And we will conclude the session now. Sit down. Please, so it's my great pleasure that Professor Sudhir Ranjan Hathua, he is actually serving Rabindranath University since long, and is my friend. And also Bibhuti is also my friend, and Dr. Anjali is from Tripura University from long way. She has come over here. We are really grateful to all of you for sharing the time here, and also your ideas. I think will be really benefited, and we are really grateful to all of you. Thank you very much for your patience time here. And also I request all of you to have a tea and come back at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock there would be a two parallel session. One will be here and another will be in Maitri at sharp 4 o'clock.
One second, please. Actually, we are very happy that next session will be starting soon, and we are having tea. But before that, I would like to mention just one sentence, that a conference give us a lot of technical thought, philosophical thought, knowledge, various things. But one thing, that human interaction, we are talking about human interaction right from the inauguration session. Today, in this conference, I met two of my colleagues after 20 years. This is the place, and that is also another indication. Here is Dr. Pathak, Sandeep Pathak, and there is Vijay Anand from IIT Kanpur. So we started together our journey as a professional colleague, and of course, Dr. Jalal is there. We are all classmates. And we had a great time that this kind of conference gives us such an opportunity to interact with people, not the technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll have a tea and come back. I request all the authors whose presentation are here, please copy the